The film is Chocolate, from the Masters of Horror series, directed by Mick Garris. Overall impression. The cover leans into raw emotional horror. It wants to hook the viewer with a mix of fear, distress, and shock. The imagery and typography work together to suggest violence, psychological breakdown, and intimate terror. The Masters of Horror brand is prominently placed, signaling that this is one episode within a well-known anthology of genre directors. Visual composition. Central figure. A blonde woman dominates the entire cover. Her expression is pained, frightened, almost desperate. Tears visibly run down her face, giving the sense that whatever is happening is extremely personal and emotionally intense. This is not a distant horror. This is a crisis happening right now, inches from the viewer. Lighting and color. The palette is built on warm skin tones, contrasted with harsh red strokes. The red slashes around her head and body give the impression of blood spray, panic, and frenetic movement. They are not realistic blood splatters. They are stylized, intentionally messy, almost like brush strokes. This adds a chaotic visual energy. The knife. The woman is holding a knife with blood smeared along both the blade and her hand. Her grip is tense but not triumphant, more like someone who is horrified at what she has done or is about to do. This ambiguity is a classic horror tactic. Is she the victim or the perpetrator? The cover leans toward psychological horror rather than pure slasher imagery. Typography and branding. Top banner. O censurate on the left and Ohygligt and brutalt on the right. This Swedish text sets the tone for the physical release. Uncensored, gruesome, and brutal. Both are strong marketing hooks. They suggest that the DVD contains material that may have been toned down in broadcasts or other cuts. The banner uses distressed red lines, mimicking smeared blood or hand-drawn crosses, reinforcing the chaos. Masters of Horror logo. Centered at the top. A dark skull silhouette makes it instantly recognizable for fans of the series. This logo alone is often a selling point. Title. Chocolate. Bold serif font, clean and elegant, contrasting sharply with the violent imagery. The white letters create a cold, clinical feeling, like a label on something meant to be analyzed. The title itself is intentionally misleading. Chocolate carries gentle, pleasant associations, which creates tension with the brutality pictured. Director credit. Regi of Mick Garris indicates the director and signals that viewers are getting a film from a respected horror creator. Thematic tone. The cover presents horror rooted in psychological breakdown, emotional suffering, intimacy turned violent, personal terror, not supernatural spectacle. The distressed tears on the woman's face show that the horror is internal as much as external. The red brush strokes feel almost impressionistic, suggesting panic rather than straightforward gore. The imagery leans toward disturbing, not playful or campy. The emphasis on uncensored and brutal implies difficult-to-watch moments, possibly graphic violence or disturbing psychological states. Marketing strategy. The cover uses several classic horror marketing hooks. Emotional close-up of a terrified face, immediate empathy from the viewer. Knife in hand, direct promise of violence. Blood-like strokes, psychological chaos. Uncensored, this is the version that goes all the way. Strong connection to Masters of Horror, which has a built-in fan base. This is meant to appeal to collectors and fans of intense, author-driven horror. Technical details noticed. The DVD logo sits in the bottom left. The Swedish distributor is Njuta Films, known for releasing edgy, niche horror in Scandinavia. The color grading is warm-cold contrast. Warm skin and warm blood tones against a colder gray background. Narrative hints provided by the cover. The image suggests a moment of emotional collapse, a crime of passion or uncontrollable violent impulse. A direct connection to the female lead's experience. This is her story, not just an ensemble horror. The chocolate title hints that something seemingly innocent becomes corrupted, or that sensory experiences, taste, touch, memory, play a role in the plot. The cover is designed to raise questions without answering them. Back cover analysis. Masters of Horror. Chocolate. The back cover continues the graphic, almost hand-painted horror aesthetic from the front. The entire layout is framed by distressed red brush strokes, maintaining a sense of chaos and raw violence. Top section. Critical quotes and branding. 2 short review quotes sit at the very top. Skicklig, snygg, pulserande och psykologiskt omtumlande. Skilled, stylish, pulsating and psychologically staggering. Chocolate bör man verkligen se om man är ett skräckfan. Chocolate is definitely something you should see if you're a horror fan. These quotes work as quick emotional hooks, telling the buyer that this isn't just a random horror film, it's one that impressed genre reviewers. Beneath the quotes is a large statement. En oerhört kittlande och fullkomligt unik film. This translates to an incredibly thrilling and completely unique film. A bold marketing claim, placed prominently to build viewer curiosity. The Masters of Horror logo appears again, grounding the film inside its anthology identity. Left column, Director Roster. A vertical red column lists the legendary directors involved in the Masters of Horror project, including Dario Argento, John Carpenter, Joe Dante, Don Coscarelli, Stuart Gordon, Lucky McKee, John Landis, Toby Hooper, Larry Cohen, Mick Garris, highlighted in red. Highlighting Mick Garris, this episode's director, reinforces his central role in the creation and production of the entire series. This column acts almost like a seal of prestige for horror fans. The names are the genre's pantheon. Main synopsis and imagery. The middle section contains 3 small still images from the film. A tense confrontation scene indoors. A lab or professional environment with characters reacting. A more intimate moment between a man and a woman. These stills offer quick glimpses of the emotional spectrum: fear, confusion, obsession. Plot summary. The film centers on Jamie, a recently divorced man whose life has collapsed. One night he wakes up with a taste of chocolate in his mouth. Clear, vivid, but completely unexplained. From here, he begins experiencing sensory impressions and states of consciousness that belong to a woman he has never met. He feels her moods, her emotional turmoil, even her sexual experiences. Jamie becomes obsessed with discovering who she is. As the visions intensify, he grows convinced that she is his soulmate. But when he finally uncovers the truth, it becomes something far more disturbing and violent than romantic. This synopsis positions the film as psychological horror, erotic tension mixed with dread, mystical sensory connection, identity breakdown and obsession. The horror is internal and emotional, not monsters but minds unraveling. Creator information. A short biography describes Mick Garris as the creative force behind Masters of Horror. It mentions his documentary work, his early filmmaking career, and his adaptations of Stephen King's works, positioning him as an expert in character-driven horror. This gives the viewer confidence that the film has pedigree. Bottom section. Extra material. The DVD includes Behind the Scenes, 20 minutes. A Sweet Taste of Fear, 20 minutes. Likely a featurette connected to the episode theme. Interviews, 15 minutes. Visual effects material, trailers, biographies. This is positioned to appeal to collectors and fans of physical media, people who enjoy digging deeper into the production. Technical info. Runtime, 60 minutes. Genre, thriller, horror. Language, Dolby Digital Stereo, English. Subtitles, Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, Danish. Image, anamorphic widescreen, 16:9. Distributor, Njuta Films. Production year, 2005. Everything is laid out functionally, but still in the same distressed red and grey aesthetic. Design and visual tone. The distressed red border returns, acting almost like torn fabric or blood smears. Smaller images are tightly framed, giving a claustrophobic feel. The color palette. Warm, desaturated skin tones, pale highlights, deep reds. This communicates exhaustion, obsession, and emotional collapse. The typography mixes bold uppercase headers with serif body text, giving a sense of documentary seriousness wrapped in horror dressing. The overall feeling is that you're buying something dangerous, raw, but crafted by professionals. Narrative and thematic hints. The back cover suggests shared sensory experiences, erotic horror, loss of self, psychological merging of identities, a twist ending, the inability to trust your own mind. It positions Chocolate as a story where love and terror blur. Disc analysis. Masters of Horror, Chocolate. The disc artwork mirrors the front cover's emotional intensity and uses the same visual motifs to maintain a unified identity across the entire release. Central imagery. The disc features the same distressed, terrified close-up of the blonde woman who dominates the DVD cover. Her crying expression and tight grip on a blood-smeared knife immediately convey psychological panic and physical danger. The image is cropped tightly around her face and shoulders, reinforcing claustrophobia and emotional immediacy. Even on the disc's smaller canvas, the artwork retains its sense of movement. The red streaks look like smeared blood or frantic brushstrokes. This keeps the chaotic tone consistent with the rest of the packaging. Color and layout. The design uses a circular red border that wraps around the disc's edge. This creates a ring of tension, almost like a warning perimeter, while visually connecting to the red themes on the case. The background is a dark, slightly desaturated gray gradient, making the character's face stand out sharply. It also gives the disc a sleek, almost metallic feel, contrasting the organic chaos of the red strokes. The image placement is careful, so that the center spindle hole doesn't obscure key facial features. Instead, it sits above her shoulder area, which avoids disrupting the emotional reading of her expression. Typography. The title Chocolate is placed prominently across the upper half, using the same serif typeface as the cover. The clean, classical font stands in deliberate contrast to the violent imagery, an unsettling juxtaposition. Above the title sits the Masters of Horror skull emblem. It's small but unmistakable, functioning as a seal of authenticity for collectors. Technical logos and distributor branding. Small icons sit around the lower center. Dolby Digital logo, DVD Video logo, Nuta Films distributor logo. They are printed in muted red, harmonizing with the overall palette while staying unobtrusive. At the outer rim, small legal text circles the disc, stating copyright restrictions and noting that the disc is made in EU. This is standard physical media formatting. Tone and presentation. Even on the disc surface, the design leans heavily into psychological horror. Pain and confusion dominate her expression. The blood smear becomes almost an abstract texture. The cropped composition feels urgent and uncomfortable. This is the sort of disc that, even at a glance, tells you the film is about inner turmoil, violence, and distress rather than creature feature theatrics. It keeps the visual identity perfectly consistent with the front and back cover, raw, emotional, and intentionally unsettling.